Hey everybody, it's Alex at Motoroso.com, your dedicated auto parts marketplace, and we're in the studio with our C8 project build for our 500-mile update. A lot has happened already, and we've got big plans, which we'll talk about at the end for the upcoming videos. Now, we do this for you guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you see all of our videos coming out on this and all of our other project builds. And if you like what we're doing, give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and comment on the videos. And of course, when you're shopping for all your mods, go to Motoroso.com where you can browse over 1 million top name brand products sold by trusted vendors at great prices, and the shipping is always free with no minimum. Let's dig in. So we were fortunate enough to take delivery of our C8 Corvette on Wednesday, April 14th, tax day, last week. And while we were at the dealership, we did our first project with the C8, and that is we shot our pandemic pickup video. Now look, we took a little bit of a different approach to how we did this video. We've seen a lot of other taking delivery videos, and of course the car rolls up on the truck, it goes into the dealer for their inspection and their delivery procedures, and then it rolls out and people talk about what they thought of the car. Now, we didn't need to repeat that for you. Also, it is the pandemic and California is still on lockdown, and so we decided we had an opportunity to do something a little bit more fun and a little funny. And this is a little out of the ordinary for us. We haven't done anything like this before, but we had a ton of fun with it, and we hope you liked it. If you didn't see it, we'll put a link to that in the description. Check it out and share it if you think it's good. And just as we were finishing up our pandemic pickup video and we were ready to leave the dealership, it was just about sunset time, and we knew we were gonna get some beautiful roller shots on the roads between Santa Barbara and San Luis Obispo, which is about an hour and 20-minute drive and some of the most beautiful roads in California. We did our final inspection before leaving, and we noticed a scratch on the T-top. It isn't terrible, but it's definitely bad enough that it needs to be repaired. And of course, Bunnin Chevrolet is taking care of all of that. It was still a bit of a bummer, but it definitely happened in transportation. If you're taking delivery of a C8 soon, or frankly, any car from a dealership, make sure you always do a detailed inspection so you don't take delivery of a damaged car. Bunnin Chevrolet is located in Santa Barbara, California, and we live in San Luis Obispo, California, which is about 84 miles north. So that was the perfect distance for us because we knew for the first 100 miles we were gonna be really easy on it and not rev the car out too much. Now you're supposed to be easy on it for the first 500 miles, and the car is even limited. They've detuned the engine to make sure you don't get full power and it runs a little detuned for that first 500 miles. I knew for a fact I don't have very good impulse control, and I wasn't gonna be able to last 500 miles without putting my foot down, but for that first 84 miles we did. Lucky for us though, between Santa Barbara and San Luis Obispo, the 154 that goes out of Santa Barbara, up and over the mountain range, down and through Solvang and through Los Olivos is some of the most beautiful roads in the world. And it was a little bit after dusk, but we still got some really nice shots of us getting the car home. The next day, I sat and stared at her for about an hour. Then I familiarized myself with all the controls I didn't get familiar with while I was driving it home. And then we drove another 80 miles just taking it around town and showing it to everybody that wanted to see it, including the guys over at the body shop that are taking care of our F-150. If you didn't see our Instagram update, I was almost hit head on by an off-duty police officer that fell asleep at the wheel. Damn near killed me and my dog, but I was managed to swerve and we got clipped, and the truck is in pretty bad shape, but it's over at the body shop getting it all taken care of. And if you want to see that build coming back to life as we put everything back on and do some additional mods, another reason to subscribe to the channel. Then on Friday morning, the car was ready to go over to Quality Tinting and Signs, where we got the hip logos applied. Now, we do plan on doing a full wrap on this car, and it's gonna be something really interesting. We're gonna share designs and float ideas out, and we're gonna be looking for feedback from our audience, so keep an eye out for that. But that is at least 8 weeks out, but keep an eye because it's gonna be coming soon. We needed logos on the car in the meantime though, and we thought about what different colors we might be able to use, how creative we could get, but we decided to go really simple because they're only gonna be on there for a little while. And the car is red with gloss black trim, but the black trim on this is called Carbon Flash. So it's actually a pearlized black, and it's not a jet black, but of course there's no film that matches that exactly. So we went with a simple, clean, straight gloss black logo, and we really like the way it came out. We think it actually makes the car look quite a lot better at the hip. Be interested in hearing what you think though. And Saturday morning, I finally got to take it out for some real driving. Now, of course, it is still detuned because it was before the 500 mile mark, but we were gonna go out and have some fun in it and actually beat up on it a little bit. Now, it was a little cool and overcast in the morning, so I didn't go too crazy, got a little bit of GoPro footage of that, but the road that I chose was a natural choice. Highway 1 up to Big Sur, probably one of the best drives on earth, and it's literally in my backyard. If you've never driven this road and you're a car enthusiast, go out of your way to make that happen. So we drove all the way up to Big Sur and we stopped at Nepenthe, which is an incredible restaurant with even better views. But of course, during the pandemic lockdown here in California, they were closed like all of the restaurants are. And so I just used that time to stretch my legs a little bit. And within 45 seconds, what rolled into that parking lot? Another red on black C8 Corvette. And this was not coordinated. I did not know this person. His name was Steve, and he's one of the moderators in the Facebook group called C8 Owners and Friends or something like that. And I highly recommend joining that group. A bunch of great guys have joined since. And we talked for about 20 minutes and then we headed south, and he was on his way back to Orange County. I was on my way back to SLO, and we had a little fun on the drive going south. Now, we were on public roads, of course, and so we weren't speeding or doing anything like that. That'd be illegal, you guys, but we did have some fun. Now, the car's new, I don't wanna mess it up, and I don't know how to drive this car yet 100%, right? I haven't learned everything about the car, and I was recently in a car accident where I was almost hit head on, so I wasn't trying to repeat that little experience in our brand new C8 Corvette. And you know what didn't help either is that all the cars that were oncoming up Highway 1, half of them were like, oh my God, that's a C8 Corvette, and they're swerving around in the lane. I'm okay. Let's talk about how it drives, all right? It's bonkers. The power. It's currently detuned. Before 500 miles, it's detuned 30% on the torque, okay? Between 500 and 1,000, it's still detuned 15%. So I was driving it before 500 miles on Highway 1, detuned 30%. The way the acceleration comes on is explosive. I mean, it's awesome. And the way it hooks up and puts the power down, it's incredible, right? I can't wait to find out what it's like fully opened up. The handling to me stunned the shit out of me. It was planted. There was almost no perceptible body roll, right? We have the Z51 magnetic ride suspension. It does a lot of work to level the car out and keep it stable through the corners. And if you don't get that option, probably a mistake. So highly recommend trying that. And as it was cornering, I didn't feel any tire slide whatsoever. And in some of the corners, I was watching the G meter from the PDR in the car, and I was pushing 0.85 G on some of these public roads, and some of them a little bit dusty and rubbly, right? There's definitely some stuff on Highway 1. So the way that the car was planted through every corner was just so confidence inspiring. I can't say enough about that. And then the brakes. I mean, it definitely worked to slow down the car. Z51 performance brake package, again, it's the bigger brakes. Did feel though like there's a bit of room for more braking performance. So we'll be working with Brembo on that, and I'll talk about that in our next video. One thing I would like to hear more is the exhaust note. This is the Z51 Performance exhaust, and it's supposed to be louder, but even under full throttle acceleration, you can hear it, but it's not that visceral V8 sound that you want to hear. And so we're really excited to start working with MagnaFlow on the MagnaFlow exhaust system, and that's what's coming up next. Now, while we're talking about first impressions, I wanted to talk about one of the things that stood out the most to me about this new Corvette, and that is the interior. In previous Corvettes, the interior has been the Achilles heel, right? These cars have been made in America, unfortunately not known for our interior quality. That changes now with this car. Everything is leather, everything is tight, and everything feels extremely positive. All the buttons click nice, everything feels extremely solid, comparable to some of the best Italian interiors I've ever experienced. And I've ridden in a 458, I've ridden in a McLaren 675, a well-made British car. This thing has not disappointed at all. There's also no more engine up front, right? So now I can see what feels like 3 feet in front of the hood. You're just on the road. And your seating position is real low, right on the chassis of the car, and you feel like you can feel everything. And these are the 1LT seats. We didn't opt for the 2LT seats, which I believe was a mistake. We should have gotten those, but even with the base seats, extremely comfortable, and they feel super high quality, and they grab me. I'm 6'3", 220 pounds, and I feel sat perfectly in the lumbar supports. They're not too small and they're not too wide. I actually wonder if skinnier guys might slide in between the lumbar supports on these seats. I don't know, I'm not that guy. And being the tall guy that I am, I have one concern, and that is that I might not be able to wear a helmet inside the car to be able to go do track days. At 6'3", my distance to the main portion of the T-top, it feels fine, but there's a fat bar at the back of the T-top that I think the helmet's probably gonna bump up against. And I'm a little concerned that I may have to have the T-top off to be able to wear a helmet in this car, and not every track day provider will let you run around a racetrack with the T-top off. Then on Monday, we took it down to the tint shop and we got it tinted. This is a must for any new car, obviously. We went with 35% on the doors and 50% on the windshield. And we used a ceramic film. Films come in dyed, metallic, or ceramic. And ceramic's the new stuff. It's higher end. It's definitely a little bit more expensive, but it's much better at keeping the heat out of the car when the sun is beating down on it. Now, Monday was also April 20th, 4/20, and we happened to tick over 420 miles on that same exact day. Doesn't seem like a coincidence to me. So after a successful 420 celebration, the next day we were ready to go get our oil change at Bunning because we had a free one to redeem. Now we had 430 miles on the car and it's 84 miles to Bunning, so it worked out perfect so that 15 miles before we got to Bunning, the dash would go through its automagical changey thing that it does. When you hit 500 miles, the computer reprograms and lifts your red line and it does a cool dash refresh. And a bunch of people have been showing this on YouTube in sport mode. We decided we want to see what that looks like in track mode, so we recorded that. And if I'm honest, I've seen the ones on YouTube of the sport mode, and frankly, I think it looks a little cooler in the sport mode, but at least we got to see what it looks like. Unfortunately, you only get to do this once in your car, so we wasted it, didn't get to see it in person, but that's all right. Now going past the 500 mile mark and with our oil change in place, now I can beat up on it a little bit. And on the drive home, we did a couple of pulls from like 20 to 70 miles an hour, full throttle. And I gotta say, we did that before the 500 mile ticked over and where it was 30% reduced. And now only being 15% reduced on the torque, it was a noticeable difference. I can't wait for this thing to be fully uncorked past the 1,000 mile mark. So make sure you subscribe to the channel now. You're not gonna wanna miss any of the videos that we have coming out for the MagnaFlow exhaust system development. Plus we have tons more mods coming. We're gonna be doing forced induction, suspension, brakes, the wrap, and a lot more. And we have tons of other builds as well. Our S550 Mustang, our F-150, and our Raptor. Make sure you give this a thumbs up if you liked it and share it out with your friends because, guys, the reason that we do this is all for you. We need your feedback. Give us comments. Let us know what you think of everything that we're doing. And of course, all the mods that you see on our channel are available for purchase at Motoroso.com, where you can browse over 1 million top name brand products sold by trusted vendors at great prices, and the shipping is always free with no minimum. Thanks for watching.